Alright guys, happy holidays. Welcome back to Tomboy Official, and happy holidays if you are doing any kind of celebrations. Hanukkah passed a long time ago at the beginning of the month, and then it's Christmas Eve now. I know for the Latinx community, a lot of people do Christmas Eve at night, like a midnight, opening gifts and singing songs. And those of you who already did Hanukkah, happy holidays. Those of you doing Christmas at Christmas Eve midnight, happy holidays. Those of you doing Christmas on Christmas Day, happy holidays. Those of you starting on the 26th for Kwanzaa, happy holidays. Anyone who's celebrating, maybe like if there are any people who have pagan traditions for Saturnalia, happy holidays. Happy holidays to everybody. Today I don't want to talk way too long. I'm recording from the household of my parents. Today I wanted to talk some about, different gender-related factors when it comes to holidays. Some people go to religious services or scheduled kind of like traditional services, and sometimes you might be required to dress in certain attire per traditions and cultural expectations. So I'm not sure what people do about that now. For some people, I feel like they're a little less overwhelmed by it if they're able to social distance and stay home and watch maybe a virtual service or just not have to go. There might be a lot less pressure. And for some people, holidays in general can be a little bit of pressure. Just to, notice that there's just a lot of different changes to the routine. Out there, it can be a little bit chaotic. It can be a bit, not just chaotic, but overall kind of a lot of challenges with, just societal expectations. I feel like when people are independent, when you kind of live in your own space and work at your own job sites, and, you have kind of minimal, you can kind of have a lifestyle oftentimes. I don't know what percentage of people, but you can have a lifestyle oftentimes where you create the life you need for yourself, for your own comfort. And so you get more choices about what you wear and what you eat and where you go and who you interact with, and kind of the people's viewpoints, the people that you interact with, their different viewpoints of the world. You kind of get to just do a lot more interacting and having a nice, good, kind of positive and fun time. So that's usually something that I kind of like to share with people who feel kind of stuck. That, if you can get yourself, if you're younger, or if you're just trying to get to a happier, healthier life space, a lot of times you can really do that by, just trying to be, more independent. Sometimes living in major cities helps, and, because there's more diversity, kind of less prejudices, and you can kind of make your life for yourself, and then you don't have to worry so much about, all the discrimination or prejudices and expectations from society, and you can kind of create healthier environments around you. So, that's kind of one of the cool things, is that we can kind of, in a way, find our own route where we can get to the best possible options for ourselves. And I know it's hard because people can't really predict. Like, you can't say, okay, if I work really hard and save all this money and move across the country to this other city and start making a life for myself there, I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to meet the right people either, right? So if there already was that guarantee, that might be a little easier for people to kind of jump on board with, some planning. But sometimes there's not really a guarantee. So you're kind of just like, well, let's see what really happens. Sometimes it's not something very predictable. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And another thing to keep in mind is that, not to like say that you can't be sad or that you can't be anxious or depressed or, going through a lot. But I do, I understand that because I go there too. My mind goes there too. I get into those dark spaces too. And, sometimes just taking a step back helps. Step back outside of yourself and thinking, okay, just let me look at myself from multiple perspectives, looking at myself from my own perspective, challenging my perspectives about myself if they tend to be negative, seeing if, those negative perspectives of myself are kind of mirrored by people around me, or is it that, people around me tend to seem nice and treat me nicely and act nicely towards me, but maybe I'm not nice towards myself. I think holidays can be a stressful time because, taking a person out of their routines, some people like it, some people love it. They're like, yes, I don't have to go to work or school or do all these other things that might seem monotonous or seem like it's going nowhere fast. And you get to chill with family and get gifts and presents and eat and watch sports and just kind of hang out. And that can be fun, like partying and stuff like that. And there's a whole spectrum. Like, there's that end that's super fun. There's another end of the spectrum where it's more stressful. It's like, maybe you like your life how it is, or maybe it's easier and better and healthier and happier when you're away from all of those people that you grew up with, or your family or your friends, or, in your neighborhood where you're going to be at for the holidays. And maybe you don't have as much freedom if you're stuck in the house, and maybe it's snowing and you're across the country somewhere and you're like stuck in the house with a bunch of people who don't have good boundaries and stuff like that. And it's like, sometimes it helps too, before you leave, before you go, to just kind of decide, what do I need for myself? You might, observe the area, kind of research it a bit and be like, hey, is there maybe like a gym open if I need some space? Is there like a beach where I can go take a walk, or a hiking trail? Like, a lot of people live in places where it's snowing, so there might not be a lot of outdoor options, but there might be some indoor stuff that might be your comfort level. maybe. Maybe you can rent a hotel for yourself for 24 hours. Maybe you can, go to a meetup group or go to a movie or just go do something else that gets you out of the house, out of that space, something pre-planned, that just gives you some time alone when you need it. I know that's something that I worry about when I travel with family. I'm like, I usually have a lot of time where I'm like, I just need to be by myself in my head, like something happened this morning. My mom, we were having breakfast. She ordered breakfast, and I mean, I'm not complaining, but it was nice. It was a good morning. I woke up and I was like, let me just like rest longer. Cause like, why wake up? It's Christmas Eve morning, and I don't really need to be up. I don't need to be doing anything. We're social distancing in our house with whatever. We're not really going out or doing anything. All the food that we're having, she's kind of ordering it, and so we're getting delivery stuff, and the food comes in, and we're like eating, and I come in to the kitchen or the dining area, and I'm sitting there eating with her, and the TV was on already, and so we eat whatever, we're chatting, and then we get done, and she moves on to like her next thing of what she was gonna do for her next plans for the morning, this morning. And she goes and starts making, like going like towards her room and like talking about like, oh, like, I just left the TV on, because I needed noise, but if you want to change it, you can change it. And I'm just like, I was realizing sitting at the table, I was like, man, I'm getting so overwhelmed. It's like when my mom got up to leave, to go, across the room to like leave and start doing her other thing, I was like, man, I'm trying to text my friend and I can't think with the TV blaring. And I was getting really kind of like, just like this frustrated feeling, just like, oh man, I can't like think, and it's too noisy all the time. Like, I'm not the kind of person who requires background noise. So it's just little things like that. It's like, it's not a big deal. It's nothing to get mad over, but it's like, I always remember, when I come home to my parents' house, like I don't live with them anymore, but, I still do have a room here with furniture and stuff in it where I can just comfortably just come in, close the door, just chill by myself like I'm doing right now, and just relax. The bed's nice, there's bedding, there's a heater, I've got my keyboard that I keep here so I can make some music if I want to be a little creative. I've got some art supplies if I want to paint or draw or, anything like that. And, we've got Wi-Fi, and, I can still chill and just have time to myself and nap and just do my own thing without having to worry about like who needs me to do what. And my parents don't put a whole lot of pressure. Like, they prefer that when I visit that I'm not just like in my room for like the whole entire time and like not socializing. But sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just need to be just by myself, and it's easier to do in their house. It's familiar, it's comfortable, like, I don't have to do anything. So yeah, I kind of like that, but also it's a little, just stuff like that where I know not everybody has, when you have a holiday or celebration of some sort, it's not always like that. You might go to your parents' place, they might have like an apartment, or it might be like you're not allowed to stay there, so you might be a little financially strained, and then, there might be a lot of other factors, but, you might, if you plan beforehand, you might be able to kind of create a plan for yourself. But just knowing that, it can be stressful. The traffic, the shopping, the people, the tourists, the visitors, the personalities, the boundaries, the free time, the, getting out of your routines, and, you might have your own lifestyle, your healthy choices and things like that. Then you might be staying with a bunch of people who have a different method of how they eat and stuff, and it's like it can take a lot of communication, and sometimes people get easily offended. It can be a lot. Yeah, but I mean, it's doable, and we've got the new year coming up, and hopefully people are finding some pleasure and fun things to do, and hopefully people feel appreciated by their families and friends, and hopefully people are enjoying themselves. And for the people who are out there and don't have any place to go or anyone to be with, that can be a challenge too, because they might feel pretty left out during this time of year. I mean, I've got plenty of friends that have either family from out of the country, where they can't just like go out of the country, and maybe their family doesn't really celebrate these holidays, so it's like it's not a big deal. So they don't really do anything during the holidays, and it can be a little lonely, because it's like, some holidays are a little personal, and a lot of people don't really invite, like, you might not invite your friends for Christmas for like a weekend or like a week or whatever. Sometimes people just want to be with their families, their immediate families, or whatever. So for the people who don't really have anybody, or anything, I mean, I think I spent 1 year, I think it was last year, was the first year that I spent some holidays by myself that I'd never spent by myself before. Like, I did Christmas by myself and New Year's Eve by myself, and those are usually holidays when I'm with family for Christmas and friends for New Year's Eve, and I'd never really experienced that before. But I found some online virtual concerts for New Year's Eve, and for Christmas I kind of had a little staycation of my own, just kind of solo, got out of the place with my housemates, and, well, not with them, but I left the house where I share with my housemates, and, just went on a little staycation so I can have a little bit more privacy. And I went and I had a little bit more privacy, and I relaxed. I didn't have to interact with the roommates. Like, you guys know how I feel about my roommates. Like, I'm not really interested in being around them, and I didn't want to be around them. They didn't want to be around me. Well, I don't know if they wanted to be around me, but I felt like I just really didn't want to be around them. So I was actually pretty happy to just have a space to myself. I was like, if I want to have friends over, I can have friends over. I think I played some Magic the Gathering online and kind of recorded some YouTube content, and was just pretty happy to just have some space to myself to just do some creative projects and just hang out. And for me, that worked. It was fine. It was happy. I had a good time. I was enjoying myself. It wasn't unpleasant in any way. But then again, it was like my whole family chose to do solo celebrations, and the whole world was kind of shut down too. So it's kind of like, it's different when it's like, okay, like, I don't really have anybody to do this with, because everybody's kind of deciding that they feel like it's not safe, and like there's nothing really available, versus when there is something available and you just can't really be involved closely with other people, and if that's what you want. But there are options. It's just a matter of kind of researching them out. For most people, they can probably find something. It just depends. If you live in a really rural community, or like a place that's really kind of not even like interested in any of the holidays that you partake in, that can be kind of a lonelier experience too. So, I know that there are like like variations of what kind of goes on for people in their lives and options that they might have. But yeah, for I just wish that everyone will have a lot of free time to reflect, and try not to be too down on yourself or too negative reflecting. Like, something I've been trying lately is for every minute of negative reflecting, or every maybe not time wise, but every aspect of negative reflecting that I do, thinking of double the amount of not so negative things. So, like, for example, my neighbor came knocking today. I don't really talk to this guy. I don't have anything against him. He's an elderly neighbor. He's been retired probably since I was in high school when we moved to this house. And my folks talked to him. So he came over because he saw my car and was asking if I was home to see if he could talk to me about, like, because his son is like 45 years old and in a similar field as that I work in, but did good on his GRE and wants to maybe go into social work, but isn't sure if he'll like it. And the dad, which is the neighbor, was pretty frustrated because his son's about to come back home and live with them, and he's just this neighbor, he's like in his 90s, graduated from Yale. He's kind of like, I kind of just want him to do well and find something, it's like, get his life going. So, I initially woke up, like, I was napping, and like I was kind of like awake though, and I heard the knock at the door, and I heard my mom like talking. I'm like, what is going on? Like she wasn't like upset. Like, it was just kind of like, it wasn't a voice I recognized. I thought she was talking to like some delivery person. Then I realized there's no delivery person that's going to be talking longer than that. And then, we do have people who come by, but I was like, it wasn't a voice I recognized. So I'm like, okay. And then I could overhear a little bit where she was like, let me go see, if she's awake. And, so I'm like, they're going to come and like try to get me to like talk to somebody for something. I don't know. And I just assumed that maybe he wanted to talk to me about my car or something, because it's like an old car and like it's not in bad shape. But I do have people like approach me sometimes about like because there's like a small dent, and they'll be like, oh, like we can take the dent out or whatever. So I kind of thought, okay, maybe it's the neighbor, or maybe it's like one of those people who comes by who like sees that you have a problem with your car or your house or something, and they try to offer you a service to repair it on the spot. It's kind of like their side hustle kind of thing. So I was like, I don't know who she's talking to, but I'm like, all right. And I was a little feeling grumpy, like, I don't really want to get up and like talk to anybody. And then but then I could have been grumpy about it, and I was in my head, I was like, like, whoever it is that I have to talk to, I'm not going to be happy about this, that my mom kind of like got me out from my napping to like talk to somebody, because I'm not really feeling too social. And then but yeah, I'm glad that I talked to him. I kind of explained the kind of work I do and how I got into it, and gave him my business card, and because it had the website on there, and put my cell phone on the back, and that he can, his son can call or text me when he wants to, and see if there's anything I can do to help him out. And I was like, well, yeah, San Diego has jobs, like, I don't really know the LA area too well with the job market, but San Diego has jobs. But yeah, I tried to explain a lot to him as much as I could about what I liked, what I don't like. And he was just like, yeah, it's not really it's not really the pay. It's just more like he wants his son to have something consistent. I'm like, well, yeah, if you want a consistent job, like, try it out. And I was saying, like, there are some sites that hire for bachelor's degrees too, where you can still get the experience and not have to worry about, um, not have to worry about, like, what do you call it? Like getting a master's, because he was like, well, I don't want to go to school for 2 or 3 years just to get a master's if I won't like it. And I'm like, well, you can kind of make something work down there. So I was kind of explaining kind of, what the steps would be just in general. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. And I kind of changed my mind, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of choosing to turn around the negative, the kind of negative thinking about, that I don't want to talk to somebody. I'm a little grumpy and like, why is my mom like bugging me to talk to this random person? But I was like, wow, that's kind of cool that he's able to kind of, come over and kind of seek some kind of information. And like, yeah, that kind of made me feel a little better about the job that I do. It's kind of a sucky kind of job, but in a way, like, we help a lot of people, but it's not fancy, it's not glamorous, we don't get paid good. But it's good work, I mean, and for me, it's more important to be happy with the people we serve, happy with the staff I work with. And, that to me is more important than having a whole lot of riches and stuff. And I mean, I'm not going to be doing this absolutely forever. Like, I do have other plans of work and jobs that I want to do. And actually, since my current boss is about to transition out, that's actually probably going to make the decision easier, because we're going to have a new boss. And I'm not like predicting that I'm going to dislike this new boss, but we're going to have a new boss. So I'm like, well, that might be a good time to see if I want to transition out, because I've been working with this boss for quite a few years now, just because I really like this boss, and they got me hired onto this job and kind of built their own team. And I didn't know that's what was happening, but they kind of offered me work, and I kind of took it, and I work hard. I try really hard. I'm not like always the absolute best at the job, as far as like speed and like getting things done in a very timely manner. But I do the best I can. And yeah, so it was kind of nice to talk to somebody about what I do. But yeah, that's kind of just an example of kind of how I've been trying to look at something where it's like I'm going into this feeling negative, and like, how can I maybe not feel so like just irritated about stuff, because things don't always go my way, and I do kind of have an agenda sometimes where I'm like, I want today to go like this, for things to be good, and to have things go like this, or to think like this, or to have something go like that. And I just start realizing, I'm like, that's not really how things are gonna be. It's not really how it's gonna go all the time. I'm not always gonna be like, this is how it is. I'm not always gonna be like that. So I think that's really something that I need to kind of realize. Is that like with the flexibility of things, things are gonna change, and I do have more power than I think sometimes to kind of change my perspective. But I have been, for a pretty long time, like thinking on the negative, and so consumed by like the things that bother me. And I think it really applies to like the holidays too, because it's like that's a good time to practice something like this, where it's like sometimes we just can't get our way, and especially if we're like in a house, a lot of people, it just doesn't work like that. But all right, guys, well, I've got company, there's other people here, so well, that's all for now, I guess. So thanks for listening. Happy holidays.